Welcome to Critical Junction episode 70. I'm Mark.
Oh, hey ho, I'm Luke.
I'm Jill.
Last week on Sunday, November 17th, 2019, Indian authorities raided and shut down a call center where several people tried to fool Canadians into handing over large sums of money through a phone scam involving social insurance numbers. In total, 32 people were arrested and 55 computers as well as 35 phones were seized by police. This particular scam typically begins with a robocall allegedly from Service Canada, informing the victim there has been some form of activity related to their social insurance number, and that they will be arrested or imprisoned if they fail to call back. Anyone who does call back is met with increasing threats until the scammer offers to settle the matter by accepting a payment, typically in the form of prepaid credit cards, iTunes gift cards, or Bitcoin. This is strikingly similar to another wave of scams that have been washing over Canada over the past few years. You've probably either heard the story before or may have even received a call yourself. Agent Joe Smith from the Canada Revenue Agency contacts you to inform you that there's been a problem with your tax return, and if you don't settle the matter immediately, the RCMP will drop by to arrest you. In fact, this is the precise call I received last year when the quote-unquote Canada Revenue Agency left me a message informing me there's been a problem with my tax return and to call them back immediately. Being aware of the scam, I decided to play along. Asking my phone number, I graciously returned the call under the pseudonym of Ivan Ivanovich to inquire about the problem. After inventing a fake address and postal code, the person to whom I was speaking was able to quote-unquote verify my file and and tell me that I owed them a large sum of money. If I didn't settle the matter, I would be imprisoned, they told me, asking for the name of my lawyer. I have 3 very high-priced lawyers. To which one would you like to speak? I asked them, I wasted their time for a good 15 to 20 minutes until I got bored and told them they were a bunch of fucking idiots and then hung up. I don't necessarily endorse this kind of epic trolling, but it was admittedly hilarious. But as much fun as it is to scam the scammers, there are unfortunately people who fall victim to these calls, often losing enormous sums of money. Worse yet is how there's very little the bank can do to get that money back if someone willingly hands it over. The RCMP has been making headway into shutting some of these scammers down, but like a multi-headed hydra of lore, as soon as one is shut down, another 3 spring up in its place. So, while the RCMP and the government struggle to cope with the epidemic, what can the average Canadian do to inoculate themselves against these immoral ass clowns? Let's talk about that, shall we?
Well, I mean, not like know it's a scam and know that scam's out there is the thing to protect yourself from it kind of thing. Yeah, I got this call. Did you get the call?
Oh, I got the call, yeah. A couple of times, and once they actually left the message on my phone, asking me to call some other number. And
My favorite is that Valerie, whom I live with, she got the call and they left the message, but her last name is Nas de Tourist, 3 words.
Okay.
But they're asking for Mr. Nas. Hello, Mr. Nas. Hello. That's the message you get, and then they go on with explaining kind of thing. But at first, it's a bunch of whole like, hello, Mr. Nas. Hello, Mr. Nas. Hello, can you hear me, Mr. Nas? Hello. And it just went on, and it makes me wonder. We have no idea if the people that are actually making the phone calls themselves know it's a scam. I've known people...
Oh, they do.
Yeah, they're fully aware it's a scam.
Because I'm saying this because I've known people that have worked jobs not realizing it's a scam, right?
But these places are set up specifically to scam people. That's the difference. But I'm surprised that they actually had Valerie's name, because when I got it, it was just a generic...
Well, I'm gonna say maybe that one wasn't Revenue Canada, because they didn't provide that tail. It was coming at the time that these other Revenue Canada calls were being made as well.
So I just
assumed.
One. Right, yeah. Yeah, but these ones, it's just a generic, hey, listen, there's a problem with your tax return, you need to call us back or you're going to go to prison kind of thing.
And did they have an accent? Like, did it sound they were calling?
Yeah, oh yeah, that sounded like they were definitely calling from India, but they were able to spoof Canadian phone numbers.
Some of them, though, they use like a robot
some of them
script voice that has like a North American accent.
Right. But I was contacted by live people, which is really funny. Like I was amazed that I was able to keep them going for that amount of time. Like it was literally 15 to 20 minutes with me I kept going with this fake Russian accent throughout the entire thing.
And what? Like were they getting upset or
no,
they were just going along with it? Like to them they're like, "Great, we're still talking to this guy. That's excellent." Like
so I called them back and they're like, "Yeah, there's a problem with your tax return." I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't sound good. Can you tell me more information about the problem on tax return?" So they go on to list like, yeah, you missed something, you owe us this amount. I'm like, oh, that is terrible. What can I do to solve the problem? You tell me now. Tell me how I solve the problem. So they just, I don't know.
Do you still have the number?
No.
I was going to say we could call it right now live and see what happens.
Well, they rotate through different phone numbers all the time.
Right.
And like the latest batch of scams.
They just get new ones, right? Because they use voice over IP.
Yeah,
and
but the latest batch, they're able to actually spoof Revenue Canada's actual telephone number.
Yeah, the spoofers are the biggest problem, actually.
Don't they have sort of... Is this... I read recently where someone had contacted someone on behalf of their so-called bank, call your bank, and so the person hangs up, or at least seemingly hangs up, calls what they think is the bank, but the person is just still on the phone or something like this. Have you heard of this one?
Yeah, I've heard of that one. Where they, they're able to circumvent your phone so that it doesn't actually hang up.
Right.
Like they're using some malicious software to get into your phone and keep you on the line until you hand over a buttload of money.
This would be landlines, I guess?
It's on cell phones.
Cell phones, okay.
Yeah. I was thinking about that like, if you get some kind of call and you're thinking it's plausible that you are in trouble or something, like, of course, you want to be the one that then initiates the call with the correct authorities and stuff. So you're like, okay, thanks for alerting me. I'll look through my stuff and then I'll call you guys back, right?
Right.
And I was just thinking, like, with that possibility there, that they can put some malware or something on your device or get around your hanging up or something like that, you would probably be safer if you called even from another phone.
Right.
From a different phone from where you got the call.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one way of getting around it.
If only cell phone, or not cell phones,
landlines.
yeah, if only payphones still existed.
Right.
Like that.
Let me call you right back from a few blocks away from here.
Yeah, from like a couple of kilometers away where I remember there's a payphone.
Right.
It still exists.
Payphone.
And then you get there and it's like, it's non-functioning. Like most of them aren't functioning anymore. You know?
That was
outrageous. Or for a while you needed a credit card to get.
Yeah, I was
thinking to use any.
I take the bus on Wellington right across from the like the last stop in front of Lion, and there's a payphone there at the bus stop, but it says card only, like malfunctioning or something.
Right?
Like
I don't get that. It's not very
Like
convenient.
if you're the kind of person that can't afford a cell phone, then you probably
don't have a credit
card. You know?
Well, I remember once the payphone. I'm gonna start attacking Bell, but it was. I remember making a phone call. It didn't go through, or something happened, and it just ate my quarter. So I call up the operator, and the operator just wants to credit my Bell line. We'll give you the credit, and I'm like, no, I don't want the credit. I want to make the phone call. Oh well, we can't do that. What are you talking about? Sure you can. Just do it. And I talked her into it, and she did it, kind of thing. But that's all she wanted to do was give me 25-cent credit. And I'm like,
what?
No.
Why?
Like,
No, just make the damn
I don't
call.
have a landline. This doesn't make any sense. You know?
What?
My latest theory yesterday, because I have a brother that works for Bell, and I got a bit of the inside scoop that he's high up enough that he tells me they're actually told to offer the absolute bare minimum in terms of service satisfaction.
Right.
And so my latest idea is that it's actually Bell that's paying for these people in India to be these call centers to make a little extra cash.
Maybe.
You know?
Oh, okay.
I mean, they're not exactly doing much to stop them, and it's been suggested that you should be able to like reverse the charges for any of these scam calls to your cell phone, and you should be we should be allowed to charge Bell Canada for putting through scam calls.
Right.
You know, like
that's ridiculous. Like, yeah, they're
Well, there's not much reason to trust on our end. Anyone
right.
coming from anywhere, you know.
I don't even pick up my phone anymore. Actually,
That's right.
absolutely
I don't even talk on the
everything
phone
goes.
anymore.
No, absolutely everything has to go to my voicemail.
Same.
And otherwise, I want to get either physical mail or an email.
Right. The only people who I'll answer a phone call from are people I have in my contacts.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, those are the ones I especially avoid. Totally serious.
Totally.
Yeah,
No,
I know.
seriously. I don't want to talk to anybody. But yeah, the problem has become ubiquitous. Like if you just mention scams, people are like, "Oh, I just got one the other day."
Yeah.
You know, it's
Look, I opened an email today. I mean, this is separate from the phone scams, but I get these emails all the time about like some problem with my Apple
They're going to say
account.
problem with your penis, because that's usually the type of email I get.
Apple ID.
No, that's real though, Mark. There is
real.
a problem with your
I
penis.
know.
I don't know what's going on with your penis.
And so they're
I should see someone. Sorry.
well, they're invariably like they look.
Was this the Netflix one?
No, this one here is the Apple ID one.
Okay.
And it says, like, this message is to inform you that your account has been temporarily locked until you can validate your Apple ID details on file. And so, of course, they give you a direct link in there to go and verify your info. Right?
Just enter in your info, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the same ones from Netflix and from Amazon, or people claiming to be from Netflix or Amazon.
So just
I've gotten the Amazon one quite often, and PayPal.
PayPal too. Yeah, PayPal's a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
the thing that pisses me off too is like the way that email is arranged. Like it displays like a nickname for the person that's emailing you, and the nickname can be something completely different from the actual email.
Yeah.
And like you have to click on the nickname, and then you can see that it's like some rando email that wouldn't be the official like apple.com
Yeah.
guys.
It depends on your email client or whatever. Like if you're using
right.
Outlook or whatever, you can see the actual email address below the nickname. But yeah, like if you're just using your cell phone, then it becomes a little bit more tedious to actually fish out the real email address. But they make it look super authentic.
It look super authentic, except invariably, I've never seen one that didn't have like typos or bad grammar.
That's the funny
English.
thing.
like missing articles and
Right.
Yeah.
like I don't know why that basic that basic thing hasn't been like worked out by them.
That's so funny. Like
I mean, they're still managing to scam people, but I definitely like if I see an error.
Then you know
in the English, you know it's definitely not right. But then I have to think back to like my work, and like sometimes I send emails out, right?
Yeah, especially with autocorrect.
I'm
It's
sure-
like autocorrect is its own scam. Like we're all fucking up all of our relationships and like accidentally sending
garbage emails.
Yeah, that make no
So
sense.
you
and refer to
said
penises.
when you called back your scammer, you said you spoofed your number.
I just masked my phone number. Like there's an option on the phone where you can
Oh,
turn
to
off the call display thing.
right. Okay, yeah, I know that. Okay.
So, yeah.
I thought you were saying you had spoofed it.
I'm like,
I
wow,
wish.
that's some high-end shit. Your phone
Holy
does
shit,
stuff.
I've got a super phone. It does really
Like,
cool shit.
people can't even hear me when I'm talking on my phone. So that's part of the reason I don't call people. My phone's so shitty.
Oh, it's super funny. They got, like, towards the end of it, they got pissed off when I started talking about my 3 lawyers.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because
So
they
you
started
were
buying
getting,
in?
you were getting a reaction out of them.
At the very, very end.
okay.
Like, as soon as I'm
Okay.
like...
And this is why you gave up, probably.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
started to give
like
up.
once they started getting pissed off, like, you know you're going to get arrested, right? I'm like, fuck off. You're an idiot because I gave you a fake address, fucking professor bullshit. It's so funny, though. Like, yeah, when I told them I have 3 high-priced lawyers, which one would you like to speak to? They probably got a little panicky, like, fuck, this guy has lawyers, and yeah, it got...
Could have called up with a whole other voice, speaking all
I
techno-babble
tried.
lawyer talk. You know?
After I hung up with... after Ivan Ivanovich hung up with them, I tried to call back as some old woman, but... oh dear, that's not good, please help me. But no, it was... They didn't buy into it because I was still using my masked phone number, and they're probably like, it's the same dude who just fucked with us for 20 minutes. But yeah, it was super fun.
You were saying that they didn't have your name, but a lot of times these phone scammers do have the person's name, and then they ask the person to like give away other information.
Yeah, the social engineering scams.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and that's something that pisses me off to no end.
Yeah.
Like the that weird, like shitty, pathetic, arrogant idea that you're social engineering, that you're doing some kind of a service. You know, I'm teaching you that you have to be better about your security by actually extorting money from you and being a parasite and a garbage, like piece of human scum. You know,
Pretty much. Parasite.
that like I fucking hate that shit. The idea that they've rationalized it as social engineering.
Well, you know, if we were doing this, because this is poor people attacking other poor people, is what it's coming down to. If we could engineer this socially to be doing this with billionaires and millionaires on a larger scale, this we could have some fun with this, you know, and in a sense it could seem okay.
This is the thing. This is the thought that's occurred to me is why do these scam networks or even groups like Anonymous or whatever, they don't generally seem to target that like 0.01%.
Why is that anyway? Like, if you're going to scam someone out of a lot of money, go for people who have a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the funny thing about this kind of thing where they call and pretend they're from the CRA and get you to, like, give them $5,000 in Bitcoins or something like that, is that I don't have $5,000
right.
to spare.
A, I don't have $5,000. B, I don't know what the fuck to do with Bitcoin. Like, do they just assume people are going to have access to Bitcoin? Like,
everybody has access to Bitcoin because they have those Bitcoin machines all over the place now. The corner
right,
store,
yeah.
literally 2 blocks from my place, has a Bitcoin
I have
machine.
no fucking clue what Bitcoin even is.
It's cryptocurrency. Don't ask me to go into any detail beyond that because I don't understand how it works.
You don't have any though? Like you guys didn't invest in it?
No, God, no. I like the whole thing has always seemed fishy from the beginning. To me, it looks like some kind of Russian scheme to degrade confidence in monetary systems,
to undermine the actual financial,
in the stable monetary systems that have existed for decades.
Stable monetary system. Yeah, go on.
That sounds like a scam.
That's
I mean, it's a scam that has been working for 100 years in terms of actually.
No, that scam works.
Yeah.
The financial system is the biggest and most long-running scam in human history.
Sure.
But
But what it is, it's a game with predictable rules.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that the scam might work out and benefit me in some way, at least emotionally, maybe.
But Bitcoin in particular, it seems like something that's like right off the bat designed to basically try and crash economies that are using normal currencies and established ones that have had a lot more stability. And they're also used for these kind of scams to hide like money laundering. It just makes it like way easier to hide money changing hands.
Wasn't that why they created Bitcoin in the first place, to like purposefully destabilize economies everywhere?
So that's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
But I hadn't read that anywhere. It just seemed like I guess intuitively it seemed like, oh, that must be that.
Well, I know what they're doing.
Although, like, a lot of people obviously didn't have that intuition and are like, oh yeah, this is the next big thing, so let's sink all of our money into it.
They saw it as an investment.
Connect! Did you see this?
They saw it as an investment opportunity and just did the exact thing that they were trying to do. Like, okay, you're gonna fuck things up now. Like, there was the reason why they did it, right? It was purposeful. They meant to destabilize economies with it, and just these idiots are like, okay, here's our money. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
But that's like the thing about regular conspiracy theories too. A big thing to its attractiveness, I think, is the idea that you're somehow figuring something out that other people haven't. You're privy to some privileged information.
Right.
You've outsmarted
the system or
the system or the sheeple.
Sheeple.
You're not one of the sheeple.
You're
so
part of the.
You've got this.
Is this how rich people would feel?
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
Like they sat down at the Monopoly table. They already had more money than everyone, and they're going, "Yeah, give me more." Like that's the way things work. And now I'm uber rich, and you go to jail, kind of thing. And that was a fun game.
And that was a fun game.
Next.
Yeah, it's fucked up that people like Donald Trump like have a history of fraud and scams and defaulting on their debts, like payment to contractors and things like that. and nothing ever happens to them, I guess just because they're rich. But somebody can like steal a postage stamp from the post office and get sent to prison,
Right.
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah.
For some petty theft.
I mean, people are like rapists are going to prison for
A few months.
a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
6 years at best or something like that. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And meanwhile, these rich people who fucked over people's lives are getting away with it. Like, look at the Trump University thing. You mentioned Trump. Like, it wasn't a university.
Like the biggest fraud scheme.
Right. It just fell apart, and people were left indebted to this fake organization, and they got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, learn my trade secrets through my quote-unquote university, and you just have to pay for like people would expect to see him there, but when they got to their quote-unquote graduation, it was a cutout of him that they would take their photo next to. It's like, I paid for this?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
But talking about like not prosecuting or not enforcing or selectively enforcing, it took a really long time for the RCMP seemingly to actually start working meaningfully on this whole scam thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You're right. It was like after years
it's been
they went,
going for like
guess we'll
10
do
years,
something.
and I think they only started cluing in on it like
years
in the
ago.
past year.
Yeah.
Because like the CBC did some story at the end of last year,
Yeah.
and apparently that CBC story was one of the big catalysts for getting the RCMP to actually fucking get off their asses.
I guess we have
Like,
to
I guess we should do something now. Like, now that it's in the
And
public
it's been going for 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, can we say they got to a point where it was like they had to do something?
I mean,
Because
it got to the point where because CBC ran it, now they have to do something.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But they had to do something about it before that because people are getting screwed.
Yeah, I mean, like more than $10 million, I think, have been lost by people who have been scammed by this like CRA one.
Yeah, people were forking over money by the tens of thousands. Like, I read about some old woman who drained her savings. Like, her entire retirement savings just disappeared because of one of these scam calls.
Yeah, and you can't get it back.
Yeah, she couldn't get it back.
No.
Because you willingly handed over your money to these scammers.
yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Like, I think you shared that story with us earlier this week when we were building up to it. But just the fact that, like, the banking regulations need to change to take this kind of shit into account. We're in an age now where this kind of thing is sadly becoming normal or ubiquitous. So
It's all on us. It's all about your password. That's all it is. Your password is the only thing that will protect you.
Change your password.
Change your password.
Fuck off.
Change it again.
Change your PIN.
It obviously wasn't complex enough.
Right. You need to put some
The other
characters in
outrageous thing I heard is that the RCMP or at least law enforcement in general maybe had this perspective that these are fraud schemes rather than extortion, and it isn't until they could reasonably call it extortion that they were able to act with teeth. Because a fraud scheme, I think, is kind of seen as like a victimless kind of crime, right? You're defrauding some big credit card company or something, or some big insurance company. You're getting some money out of a faceless organization that's making profits hand over fist and gouging people anyway. So it's I don't know. It's something that's less imminently important to prevent, right?
Right.
Whereas extortion is like a direct crime against a citizen. It's closer to something like assault or murder or something like that. Like it's like you're destroying someone in particular's life, and if enough people are getting that kind of abuse from someone, then it's more compelling somehow.
Yeah. How is it not seen as extortion before? Is what I
well,
can understand.
yeah, exactly.
Like, it's clearly you're being extorted for money.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's because of the ignorance about cybercrime.
Even though the RCMP boasts a cybercrime unit.
Yeah.
They don't. They're only just beginning to understand how the underbelly of the internet actually works. We've had hackers on the dark web for years, and people only just became aware that there is such a thing as the dark web. You know, and they're only just catching up to what hackers have been doing for decades, right? Hi, Cat. They hire hackers because hackers know what the fuck they're doing more so than the RCMP does, right? So they have a lot of things to catch up on. But I don't know. It's kind of funny in that, you know, they should have been aware of this well beyond just a couple of years ago.
Well, so they have a fraud unit that you can call directly when you to report like these kind of scams, and they want you to call in because they're actually tracking statistics and all this kind of stuff, and of course gathering information to directly try and stop this shit. But if you just call your regular police station or just call the RCMP directly and not specifically targeting that fraud unit, often the asshole on the other end of the phone line, he's just like, oh, we're getting too many of these fucking calls, we can't do anything about it.
Well, it reminds
they won't be given the information that, hey, we have a fucking unit that's dedicated to this shit and we should be directing people there.
Right, they won't even pass on that information.
We gotta be assholes to everybody because everybody's a potential criminal.
Right.
You know?
It's ridiculous. Like they're there to protect us, so fucking do your job.
I remember a friend telling me about going into the cop station on Elgin.
Yeah.
Because there was a bum that she was worried about just outside the cop station. And what she was confronted with was an angry cop that went, why the fuck do you care? Get the hell out of here. We're busy. You know?
Seriously.
Like, we're not the right people. Yet, there is a phone number you can call in Ottawa. And they will do something about it. They will go and pick up that guy and make sure he's warm and he's going to survive and stuff like that. But I mean, where's that number? We're not exactly sure, you know? It's, I guess the information's there. What you looking at?
Why are there people in my backyard?
There are people like randomly wandering around your backyard.
Oh, they're picking the mushrooms. Okay.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What, is there
They're
edible
picking mushrooms in the middle of the city? Can you do that?
Clearly they are.
Is that like edible?
No, it isn't. What are they doing? Why are they doing
Oh,
that?
and he's also using one of those bathroom garbage, little white plastic garbage can.
Yeah. This just in. People in my backyard.
Well, it looks like this guy's straight out of the country too. Like, what is he doing in this? What's he doing here?
Jeez, drive 15 minutes like that way.
There's a grocery store right around the corner.
No, but drive 15 minutes that way, and there's actual forest. You're outside of the city. This isn't a huge city.
Edible there?
Well, that was interesting.
Wow, I've never seen anyone pick mushrooms in the middle of a city in like spots where people go and have their dogs shit.
Yeah. For the record, that wasn't actually in my backyard. My backyard opens up into the guest parking lot behind these units.
Yeah, with a very tiny grassy area.
Very tiny grassy area.
You have a grassy knoll in your
I have a grassy knoll.
There's the wife now. She's looking
at us.
No, she's looking into the shrubbery there. Oh, what is this?
Shrubbery.
Oh, she's kicking a tree a bit.
She's kicking a tree?
Yeah.
With a bush there.
What in God's name?
Let's invite them in. Maybe they want to be part of the podcast.
Yeah. Have you been
scammed?
I feel like we're about to be scammed. Okay, well that was fun.
Yeah,
back to the story.
What were we talking about before the mushroom pickers came along?
We were talking about the inaction of police.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
There is a lot of that.
Unfortunate. But I mean, apparently they're stepping up. I'm surprised with this scam going on for 10 years and $10 million being drawn from Canadians that they haven't just put out a simple PSA yet.
Have they not?
I
thought they had.
Have they?
Well, now I don't know. I thought they had.
If they did, it was just within the last year.
Yeah,
I think this has been going for 10 years.
I think it was CRA directly who were like, be careful, there's a scam. And that was the extent of their PSA. Like, watch out for people claiming to be us. It's not us.
Yeah, right, it's
but
not
I
us.
think it's just really recent.
Do that.
It was really recent. I think it was
like
just last year or the year before that they started putting it out.
Well, their statement was, we don't threaten.
Yeah, and they're like, we never engage in such and such activities.
And when mentioning anything about being arrested, that's not us.
Yeah.
You can know for sure.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And then the scammers just adjusted their tactics and started, doing things a little differently.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Take note.
Okay, so they're catching on to that part. We'll scrap that. Take it out of your scripts, guys. We'll start not threatening people because the CRA's onto us. Like,
they just do the mobster threat where everything is couched in would be a shame if.
Yeah. So you got a nice house there. It'd be a shame if someone seized it.
Well, can we agree though that we do actually feel like if this flipped around and they did start attacking the 1% and getting money from them, that would be okay?
Well,
then the RCMP would be active.
They'd be
then the RCMP would do something about it, and
over.
it would actually stop.
Yeah. Like, part of me would really love for them to do that. Just, like, for these scammers to start targeting the Bill Gates of the world. Maybe not necessarily Bill Gates, because he's kind of cool, but, the 1%. Or whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, morally, I still have to object to it.
Yeah. The whole I've never completely bought into the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
But it goes into a Robin Hood territory, like stealing from the rich.
Robbing from the rich.
You can't really say there's a problem with that.
You kind of can. The whole idea it goes down to that that super basic thought experiment of if a doctor could sacrifice one patient to save 5 others with organ donations because he's got 5 other patients, one that's got bad eyes, one that has a bad liver, one that has a bad heart, all that that kind of thing. Is he morally justified in killing one patient to save the lives of 5 others?
The greater good.
Well, I'm going to say there's no
are
killing.
we morally justified in rendering Jeff Bezos destitute to just redistribute all of his wealth to everybody else?
See, okay, the problem with that line of thinking is that we're assuming there would be a redistribution, but I think the scammers would just keep the shit.
Right.
But if they were to redistribute everything,
then it would be fine.
It still would.
Then it would be fine.
It would be seen as more acceptable, but there's still that moral objection to it because you're still taking someone's money or whatever,
Like it's their money. Because that's the problem. They think it's their money.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about the scales of wealth and the disparities of wealth of Jeff Bezos versus us,
right,
kind of thing. There's no argument in the universe that can justify that wealth.
No, there isn't.
No, he's gonna die not having used
even
a tenth of a percent
right.
of any of that wealth that he's gathered and also sequestered from the rest of the economy, right?
Right, yeah. So, in my mind, it would be awesome if someone were to scam the Bezoses of the world and redistribute their money to everyone, but I still can't bring myself to justify that kind of action, because it's still on the same scale as the scammers targeting the little old ladies of the world.
It's not, though. It's not. One is survival, and one is, obesity. These rich people are too rich.
Gluttony, greed.
It's like the nut collecting nuts, and we're all struggling to find nuts, and then there's some fucking chipmunk out there. It's got a fucking entire. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but he's a fucking happy chipmunk with way too many nuts. Is all I'm
Yes, they are unquestionably rolling in wealth that they should not have by any stretch of the imagination. But I still cannot condone the actions of a scammer, regardless of who it is they're scamming, because I take.
You know what would be interesting is if let's say
but the whole system is a scam. Is what I'm getting at.
Let's say that there's a legitimate entrepreneur guy who, through his own lights and wits, innovated and managed to build up an enterprise or a company and make a lot of money off of it. It would be great if something kicked in where that person suddenly gets a magic card or something that means that he just doesn't have to pay for stuff anymore, right? But he doesn't have a mountain of wealth locked away.
He's not a dragon sitting atop a pile of gold.
Yeah, in the Cayman Islands, he just doesn't have to pay for stuff because he's obviously made enough money that he wouldn't if he had
Right.
kept that wealth.
Yeah.
Right? And that would be a lot cheaper to have one guy just, go into the free store for rich people and get what he wants and leave. It would be a lot cheaper to go that way than to actually, have a bunch of taxpayers go into supporting an economy that just fills the pockets of a rich person.
But wouldn't you be setting up a kind of a caste system by doing that, though?
Yeah, probably.
Well, okay then.
Probably, yeah.
So no, let's not do that.
So I'm thinking, it is possible to have a lot of money.
It's an illusion that the caste system doesn't already exist with the...
That's true too. Yeah. I mean, regardless of...
Sorry, I
Go
didn't
ahead.
mean to interrupt.
Well, I was going to bring up the idea of, a ethically responsible
This would be like an
corporation
overt
or
caste
something
system.
like
Sorry.
that. Like let's look at what is it, Ben and Jerry's ice cream kind of thing?
Yeah, right.
Where they are investing in
Yeah.
dairy farmers. They
Right.
are making
Costco,
sure that...
to a certain extent, I think
Yeah,
they're
lesser
into
extent, but yeah.
I feel like they were forced into it. They were sued into being in. They're
were
like,
they?
okay.
Haven't
Well,
they always been kind of...
oh man, you couldn't even shop at Costco before. You had to be a civil servant.
Right, but
And they were sued so that regular shoppers could buy memberships,
Yeah, except that in terms of how they treat the workers that work there, like regardless of,
Right.
of whether or not they had like this exclusive club membership for consumers that visit there, apparently they always treated the workers super well.
Okay.
I don't know if they do profit sharing or something, but
Not sure.
but they apparently they're like the company with the smallest gap between the highest CEO and the lowest worker's salary.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
So, like a co-op, because it is.
Kind of.
It is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, there's companies that do that kind of thing, but ironically, there's like laws that prevent a lot of companies from at least doing too much of that shit.
Which is
because it's somehow irresponsible to the shareholders that are the ones that are keeping this whole Ponzi scheme alive anyway.
The moment we started treating businesses and enterprises as people is when society really started to fuck itself. Like corporations enjoying rights is just absurd to me.
Well, I think it's we've started treating people more so like they're failed corporations.
Right.
I'm thinking of...
Failed corporations get treated pretty well, actually.
It depends if they never succeeded
they
in
get
the first
to
place.
not pay all of their debts.
Yeah, they get bankruptcy protection and all this other fun stuff.
They get to steal the pensions that other people paid into all of their fucking
This is
working
mine
lives.
now. It's mine now.
Look at fucking Sears Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's
These
not what
people
happened
are
with
working over-
Zellers. All the bigwigs took off with everyone's pensions there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what
that's what I'm saying. That a failed company like
I see.
Zellers or
Right.
Sears Canada, they get treated great because they just get to steal all the money of the people who invested their entire working life in that.
Yeah, to pay off their shareholders or whatever.
Well, would you agree then? It's a Slavoj Žižek quote, but that it's easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism at this point.
Ooh, holy shit, that's chilling.
That is frightening.
That's
But is it
chillingly
not the
true.
case?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Fuck.
no, that's apt. It's very accurate.
Yeah.
Like, how do you put an end to capitalism at this point?
Yeah.
It's like entrenched in society, and there's nothing we can do to extricate ourselves from it. It's fucked. It's a fucked up system. Like, unbridled capitalism is just totally fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they've tied it up into this moral imperative of, capitalism is not allowed to be about anything other than profit
Right.
for the shareholders.
Yeah.
Like Friedman was a big time kind of anti-profit for that. I mean,
It's funny because, if you look at Star Trek, the Ferengi are, super capitalist. They're the epitome of capitalism. But at the same time, like Quark was explaining in one of the episodes of DS9, they never had slavery. They never had these giant wars that wiped out huge swaths of the population. So the Ferengi are better at capitalism than just than we are. Like, how do you become
Maybe.
that level of capitalist? Like the capitalist that doesn't kill other people for the sake of a profit. You know, they don't start wars for the sake of bringing in more money. They don't fuck over their shareholders.
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a cult, though, right? And so, like, while they don't have wars because there's no alternative cult in their culture. Like the whole species is part of that same cult. So the killing, instead of happening between two warring factions, it's anybody who's not doing right is killed. Like they still have executions and
You're talking about the
stuff like that.
Ferengi?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah, right.
So like anybody who's just not playing the game properly is getting killed. I mean, it's a war of the people who are playing the cult game and those who aren't. But it's so sort of diffused within
culture.
It is true that it is. Yeah, it's much more ingrained in their species, as if that's what they were born to do.
Right.
Kind of thing. It's
But
they
isn't
know
that where
nothing
we're
else.
kind of at right now?
Well,
in
no.
Western society?
I mean, in the sense we're speaking more so from a socialistic perspective, right? I
No,
think
but
that is. I mean, the three of us.
Yeah. Okay.
We are separate from this other species of the 1%. Like we don't agree. We're not part of that.
Yeah,
We're not
when I say
included in
we, I mean like Western society. Like, aren't people being raised to value? You know.
that. Oh yeah, but it didn't work. Is
Accumulating
what I'm getting
shit.
at. It just didn't. It didn't
Didn't it,
succeed.
though? Like,
it did, but now it's failing. It's like it succeeded only in appearing to be success.
I don't know if it's failing, to be honest. Like, capitalism does not seem to be failing in my eyes at all. Like, we still have people who are driven by profit and accumulation of shit and stuff.
Well, okay, I'll say
but
that
I
it
think the
failed.
widening wealth gap is actually an indication of its failing. Like,
When I say
isn't-
failing, I mean in terms of humanity, not in terms of capitalism.
Okay.
Sure, it's going off.
but I think even in terms of capitalism, because I think there's a breaking point to that wealth gap.
Oh yeah,
Trend.
Well, it eventually crashes.
Yeah, at some point we become the Roman Empire, right? And
Right.
and the whole thing, like a house of cards, it just will
Well, probably way
crumble.
slower and.
Like the disappearing of the middle class, I think, is a death knell to capitalism. Ironically,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and I say ironically because basically the middle class is like the most kind of egalitarian manifestation of a capitalist society, right?
Right. It's supposed to be the ideal balance
Yeah.
within a capitalist society. Yeah, it's what the system was supposed to play towards.
Right.
Right.
And it's so just teeters on insanity. Like
Yeah.
it's just loosely balanced and tipping towards suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Capitalism, yet another giant scam.
Yeah, the whole thing's a scam,
Yeah.
man.
So I mean,
It is. Like, it just,
like, why is law enforcement not working on these scams? Is because
They
the
themselves are a
scams are
scam.
kind of
They're part of
doing
the
what
scam.
the system was designed to do.
right. They've been in-scammed into the system. It's revolting.
So the latest Lavage quote, and I'm going to misquote, of course, but the gist of it is in terms of looking at the environment and how we treated the ecology of the planet, kind of thing. And he's saying that so far what we've done is akin to the effects of cheering at a sports game on TV and thinking somehow supernaturally that will affect the outcome of the game. Like, we have done absolutely nothing to address anything so far.
Right.
Like, we have to be much more extreme in
Yeah.
in our approach.
I totally get that. We just think we're doing shit by, screaming on the sidelines, save the planet or whatever,
and it makes
not
us
doing
feel
anything.
good, and then we can go home and sleep, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it's-
Twitter activism, right?
Twitter activism. Yeah. Look what I posted on social media. I feel good about sharing this thing that's in support of Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
Like it feels gratifying to do that, but it's not fucking doing anything.
Yeah. There's a couple of times in the past where I've bought into the social media game and participated. putting a France flag filter or something on
Usual
the avatar.
You
Yeah, even
wait, I want to sound more sad. Usual.
Bravo. We'll use that take.
Yes, even me. And I obviously regret all of those times, that's actually the only example I can think of. But those
That's the only thing I've ever done wrong ever. But anyway,
those times when I've tried to buy into and participate in the social media zeitgeist, I just look back on them and shake my head at them.
Yeah.
Because of how like empty it actually is.
Yeah, like I've done something similar. I can't remember what it was. It was probably one of those, flag things or changing my profile photo to something. And I looked, like it came up in my Facebook memories. And I'm like, why did I get swept up into that? Why was I guess
Coney 2012.
God, dicks out for Harambe.
Dicks out for Harambe. I don't even remember what that was. I just remember the memes.
I just remember the memes. The gorilla got shot or something.
Right.
Yeah. Bush did Harambe or whatever. Oh.
Harambe the gorilla.
Early 2010s. Good times.
Yeah. Coney, if you'd like to sponsor the show.
Is he still a thing? I hope so.
I have no idea what the hell
you don't remember this Coney 2012?
It's not even. I don't even think it's a matter of remembering. I don't. Memoring.
Didn't care.
Not a matter of memory.
Remember that.
Didn't care to remember.
Remember Chewbacca?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Got way off the rails now, so I think this would be a good point to either reel it back in or put an end to this shit.
Where are we at? How long
47 minutes.
Talking about this?
No one picking mushrooms in the backyard. What else have we got to talk about?
Let's head for the final thoughts.
Okay, final thoughts on the issue of scams, or hell, capitalism while we're at it.
Yeah, it's a scam.
Capitalism.
Watch out.
Watch out. You've been warned, kids.
No, I mean, ultimately, what is the escape but to, in some way, try to transcend it and find happiness without money? Kids, you don't need the money. Find happiness with the people you love around you, and
yeah.
I think that is the best final thought you've ever delivered.
Try to do nice things for people and be kind, and read a book. I feel like it's the end of Monty Python's Meaning of Life, and to sum it up here.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Okay, yeah. Jill, final thought. Scams. Is the final thought a scam itself?
Yeah, actually.
This entire podcast totally a scam. I can't believe anyone's even listened this far. What is wrong with you?
We've strung people along for 70 episodes. This has all been a giant scam.
Final thought is don't trust anybody online ever.
Including your mom.
Especially your mom.
Because she's not your mom.
That's parenting is a scam.
She never really loved you. She never knew how. She didn't know.
Your entire childhood was a scam.
Absolutely. Well, we went to school. What did we learn, really, guys? What did we learn?
I learned about the plains of Abraham ad nauseum. Learned a lot about that.
God, we were just talking about that, me and Ella, about how like so much of those like the citizenship test that you can take online, like so much of it is wasted on these irrelevant historical questions about dates and people who started shit, and nothing about how shit works today now and how you need to, and the things you need to know to be a citizen in Canada. Like almost none of it is about that. It's all about like what year was Confederation, blah blah blah. Yeah, fuck off.
What good is knowing about the plains of Abraham going to do when I'm filing my tax return?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's my final thought, I guess. But no, to follow on yours, don't trust anybody. Trust no one.
No one.
Just be aware that these scams exist.
Yeah.
Just be aware of it. Be more familiar with the online world, how it works. Make sure that you don't get swept up in this whole craziness of people calling, pretending to be from the CRA when they're clearly not, because unless you can mask your phone number and put on a fake Russian accent and scam the scammers, you're going to get fucked in the end.
Yeah.
Well, we're already being fucked.
Yeah.
We're being fucked right now, guys.
Yeah.
And we're fucking you with this podcast right now.
No, we're not. Maybe
Yeah,
you
we
are, but I don't know.
But it's consensual.
It's consensual.
It's consensual,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
consensual.
Yeah, consensual fucking is great. There's
Informed-
no problem
It
with
is
that.
very fantastic.
Informed, enthusiastic
Ain't
consent.
nothing wrong with getting fucked consensually.
Consensually. That's the moral of the story, kids.
Yeah, get fucked consensually, boys and girls.
How did
Say
scams
yes
turn
when you
into
mean
get
yes,
fucked
and you
consensually?
enjoy that yes.
You enjoy the hell out of that, yes.
Yeah, so no, I'll take it one step further though, and in a sense, try not to have anything that you even need to trust anyone with anyway.
Right,
so that
right.
there is even no. You try not to give a fuck, boys and girls.
Yeah, yeah. You're not.
Set
You're
yourselves
not
up.
vulnerable to be stolen from if you have nothing to get stolen.
So divest yourself of everything
Yeah, yeah.
and just live an austere life. And
Invest-
Lose your attachments.
Invest in knowing thyself rather than money and,
Right,
and
right.
bitcoins.
Yeah.
I think this is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. It's just one big one.
Just one.
One big coin. Is
Can I
that-
have a bit of that
I want a
Bitcoin?
bit of that coin. This has been Critical Junction, episode 70. I'm Mark,
I'm
or
Luke.
Ivan Ivanovich.
I'm the other guy that sits over here drinking coffee.
Yeah, I'm chill.
As always, thanks for listening. Until next time, keep thinking critically.